All right, I may have to start this over. Somebody said I'm mute. Am I still mute? Can y'all hear me now? No sound? I'll start this thing over. Can y'all hear me? No sound? Can you hear me? Wait, is it working now? All right. Because y'all know I get a little excited sometimes. What I was saying was, if you are an empath watching this, I need you to understand something. You can't date like everybody else because internally you're not built like everybody else. And when you have a big heart, you got to understand there's more of it to break. So it takes longer to pick up. And so when I say like you can't date like everybody else, what I'm really saying is you can't go in without proper boundaries. Some people hear that, especially if you're an empathic woman, you hear that and you say, well, let me hold back. But you know that feels unnatural. As a woman, if you've ever loved a man, cared about a man, and you tried to hold back, you already know that felt so unnatural. You hated that feeling, trying to keep your guard up. And it was difficult because at some point you knew you were going to break just because you cared about him. But your empathy gets weaponized by broken men who recognize your healing heart, the healing nature that you have. So you got to be very mindful that whenever you date with the ability to enforce boundaries and recognize those who try to benefit from you not enforcing them. Matter of fact, let me put this right here. Now that we got the sound back on, it's time to turn it up. Matter of fact, I'm going to go live because I just released my new book to my Patreon members. It's not public yet, but the manipulation clapbacks and 100 narcissistic attacks. I just released that on my Patreon. So for those of you who are already on my Patreon, you will see a new, actually 2 new books. They're not available publicly, but if you're not on my Patreon, you definitely want to get there because we're going to do a Q&A right after this on the Patreon. And I'll put the link down in the comments. Let me put this on as well. But yeah, like I was saying, man, if you are an empath, you can't go in trying to be a savage. You can't go in entertaining somebody who's not certain. You can't go in on some situationship type stuff. Like you can't date like everybody else. You have to be more vigilant. You have to be more picky. I don't care what they call you. You have to be willing to let people talk bad about you, call you stuck up, say that you're heartless or cold because you don't let somebody take advantage of your good heart. You have to be. It's not just a matter of preference. It's a matter of self-preservation. It's a matter of self-preservation. But you're so busy understanding a man's trauma that you're creating your own. At that point, and I know that's very strong, but I mean, I'm going to keep it real with you. I'm your big bro. You so focused on saving him that you're sacrificing you. I'm talking to you. If you are an empathic woman, if you are an empath, I'm not talking to the rest of y'all who play games and don't care and you fall back. It don't matter if it's been a year, 2 years, 3 years. You just snap your fingers and you over him. I'm not talking to you. This ain't the conversation for you, sis. I love you, but this ain't this. But for those of y'all who do have a hard time healing, bouncing back, gaining faith in the dating scene again, trusting your own ability to choose the right man again after you got it wrong, I'm talking to you. Your compassion has become not necessarily your weakness, but manipulative men can smell it from miles away. They can smell that compassion. They know you will excuse their behavior because you understand their pain. They know you'll tolerate it. They know that you will tolerate their dysfunction because you see their potential. But here's the wake-up call. Here's the wake-up call. Your empathy without boundaries isn't love. It's self-destruction disguised as virtue. And I'm not trying to be mean. I don't even want you to hold any shame about this. It just is what it is. It's not love. It's self-sabotage. It is abandonment wounds. It may be even a little bit of people pleasing. but ultimately is self-destruction disguised as virtue. Stop being a rehabilitation center for damaged men and start being a fortress for your own peace. That's what I'm saying. I want to give the empath watching this permission. I want to give you permission to be selfish. And if you got questions, I'm actually going to do a Q&A. I'm going to answer questions on my Patreon right after this. If you have not joined yet, like I said, you definitely want to join. I just added 2 new books that won't be available to the public, but they are to you guys. Or my Patreon, rather, should I say. But it frustrates me because you're the type of woman that a man who's properly prepared has been waiting on, but then you go and put yourself in the hands of somebody who hasn't prepared or who only comes to manipulate and destroy, and then now you're no good. You're in no good of condition for the man who has prepared for you. That's what's frustrating. That's why a lot of good men and good women miss out on each other because of who they entertain before they find each other. And so for you to stop ending up in the wrong hands, empathic woman, you got to understand that your empathy is the weapon that a broken man is going to use to destroy your standards. So you can't hand it to him willingly. Broken men exploit your understanding nature to avoid being held accountable. They always have, they always will. Your compassion, it becomes their excuse. Matter of fact, it becomes their excuse factory for their continued poor behavior. He explains his cheating by talking about his childhood abandonment issues and how he misses his grandmama, and suddenly you're comforting him about his betrayal of you. He uses his depression to justify treating you like garbage, and you accept it because you understand his struggle. Your empathy in this situation gets hijacked to protect him from the consequences of hurting you. He wasn't depressed whenever he did what he did. He wasn't depressed then. Why all of a sudden, I'm not trying to play around about mental health and none of that, but why all of a sudden now he's suicidal? Why all of a sudden he want to take his own life? Why? He had a smile on his face when he was doing what he did. But you can't get so busy healing his wounds that you don't notice that he's creating new ones in you. I'm talking to the empath, by the way. I'm talking to the empath. To the empath listening to this. Again, if you're a woman and you out here snaking your homegirls for they man, you making passes at your homegirls, man, you don't care about nobody but you. I'm not talking to you. just get off this live. This ain't for you. But for the women who are out here as lover girls, sweethearts, like your heart's so soft, it's soft to a fault at times. Like you almost feel ashamed of how much you can love somebody who don't deserve your love. You the one I'm talking to. While you so focused on his recovery from all that he told you he's been through, your own mental health is deteriorating every single day. But you're caretaking. That addiction to caretaking can't be what makes you blind to your own trauma accumulation. You can't let that make you blind. You're researching his mental health conditions. You're looking it up. You're trying to learn more. And that's cool if he wasn't using that to project onto you or as an excuse for how he treated you. Or all while he just contributed nothing to your healing or your happiness. If he didn't have you walking around on eggshells around his triggers, managing his emotions, sacrificing your needs. But you can't become his unpaid therapist while he becomes your paid source of stress. Amen, somebody. Got me in here preaching. Broken men do not want to be fixed, sis. Broken men do not want to be fixed. I know we all had some kind of childhood here and there. This wasn't perfect. That wasn't. He grown now. He's 40 years old. You know all of the therapist commercials and therapist links and Google links and he done came across. You know all the opportunities he done had to talk about what he got going on in his mind, every church that he drive by every Sunday day, every Bible study he skip out on. That man, if he broken from his childhood in his 40s and 50s, sis, I'm not trying to be messed up to brothers or nothing like that. He don't want to be fixed. And it ain't your job to fix him anyway. But broken men tend to want to break you down to their level. That's 98% of the time what's going to happen. Only 2% of the time has this man literally been living under a rock and never came across a single resource for him to get better so he could be in position to love you correctly. Misery loves company, and damaged people usually seek to damage others rather than heal themselves. So your attempts to heal any of those broken men, they become the opportunities to infect you with their dysfunction. Can I keep it real with y'all? Because people love like skirting around this because we're talking about broken men and mental health. And look, I am a mental health advocate, but a part of proper mental health is not being addicted to this victimhood that pays out all of these rewards of sympathy that you don't deserve. Excuses to create other victims of trauma because you got your own. That's a part of proper mental health. So instead of rising to meet your standards, he's going to drag you down to accept his lack of them. Instead of healing his issues, he's going to make his issues your problems. Instead of growing from your support, he's going to use that support to stay exactly where he is while pulling you into his emotional hell. I'm seeing some questions in the comments. I can't wait to get to them. If you got questions, like I said, I'm going live with my Patreon community. My inner circle in particular is 3 tiers. So the first one is just if you want like 1 or 2 ebooks and, you know, the daily affirmations. But if you want the Q&A access, the inner circle, let me be very specific, the inner circle tier, I'm going live to answer all questions right after this because it's a lot of people that need to know where they stand in terms of your boundaries, how to respond, how to identify that you're dealing with somebody who's never going to respect your boundaries. If you are an empath, you cannot trial and error with your heart. Trial and error for an empath out here on this dating scene is Russian roulette with your mental and emotional health. Do y'all understand what I'm saying? Like, it's not a game. This ain't 9th grade no more where he cute and I feel and I like him and you can just go in like the wrong man, the wrong relationship with the wrong man can set you back 10 years. Can I be real with y'all? The wrong man, especially being in a relationship with the wrong man, can set you back 10 years or more. And it's a lot of y'all that can attest to this from a personal place. You already done been set back several years. Opportunities, a love interest that would have catapulted you. Some of y'all were being so loyal to the wrong man, you passed up men that you honestly could have made something work with for the rest of your life. You know, they're going to get mad at me for saying this truth. All it takes is a few months in a relationship with a man that ain't meant for you to set you back years. And you loyal to him, passing up on men that the man you with can't even compete with. Twana says 29 here. And how many of those 29-year, Twana, I'm not picking on you, love, but how many of those 29-year increments of life do you think you got left? How many decades? Y'all understand that? Like if we lucky, we get about 7, maybe 8, possibly less. How many do you think you got to waste after you already 30, 40 years old? How many more decade-long span? Come on, man. This is why your tolerance of his unacceptable behavior, you have to see it for what it is and that it's preventing him from facing necessary consequences. Like by making excuses for him, you're going to remove his motivation to change, even if he could change. If he could change. Every time you justify his behavior because of his past, You're teaching him that trauma is a permanent excuse for treating people poorly. Every time you accept less because you understand his struggles, you are confirming that his struggles matter more than your standards. That's what you are confirming. Denise, 25 years. Y'all get what I'm saying? And so if you 30, 40 years old, you ain't got but 1 or 2 more 25-year spans, and 2 if you're really lucky. I'm talking about blessed. You can't keep getting it wrong, but that don't mean you got to shut down and not be able to open yourself up to love or anything like that. You just got to go in again with more intention. The same way we say, like, okay, as a man, you understand he needs to date you with intention. Empaths, you have to evaluate with intention. You have to prepare for the men who are going to come across you with intention. It can't just be if he cute, he smell good, and y'all got good chemistry. There's no intention in that. That's all emotions. That's all feel good. And which is not bad if you're in 9th or 10th grade, because you got time. At 16 years old, you got time to get it wrong, once or twice, and you'll be all right. But if you grown, we ain't got too much more time. You got to factor in the time that you spend in that wrong relationship, plus the time it takes to heal from it, plus the time it takes to now date from the upgraded standards that you have, in which as you upgrade them, you're going to naturally extend the amount of time that you spend single. I want y'all to understand why I emphasize this, why I get on here as often as I do, why I offer as many resources. I don't know anybody that gets on here and offers as many paid resources or free resources that I do. This is why I run some of the craziest deals, even though I get paid good money. Man, look, matter of fact, for those who join my inner circle today, I'm going to include all 15 of my books with it. My inner circle costs less than the price of one. I'm going to include all 15 of my books just today. Matter of fact, I'm going to do this for 50 people. So that link that you see right here, this is an exclusive announcement right here. My Patreon, you have to join the inner circle. There's 3 tiers. You ain't got to join the most expensive one either. You can if you want to, look at the benefits. But I want to make sure every empath, I already got everybody else out that's watching this, is properly equipped to deal with whether narcissists, manipulators, or anybody else who's not for you. We ain't got time to waste. And if you're watching this right now, again, you can no longer say after this conversation you don't have the resources, the guidance, you didn't know. I'm answering questions personally, me, right after this on my Patreon for my inner circle members, and I'm giving the next 50 people to join access to all 15 of my books, bestsellers included. You ain't got to go to Amazon. That's audiobooks, ebooks, the whole 9. There, I done did my part. Now you got to do yours. But back to what I was saying, boundaries aren't walls to keep love out. They're filters to keep poison from getting in. So many people think boundaries make you cold-hearted. It makes you ruthless. It makes you numb. It makes you whatever. It makes you unforgiving. No, boundaries are the guard that God was talking about in the Bible when he said, guard your heart. But God said, guard your heart. Above all else, guard your heart. Above all else, guard your heart. What do you think the guard is? If you go to a club, hell, if you go to an airport, the guards don't keep everybody out. They're keeping certain people out who don't meet certain criteria. That doesn't make you bad. That doesn't make you heartless. That doesn't make you ruthless. They don't know. It's just to say you got to meet certain conditions, certain qualifications to come past here. You can't be charitable with your mental and emotional health, giving it out to everybody just because you feel sorry for them. That's charity. That's okay to do that with $2 or $3 of spare change. You ain't got no spare change when it comes to your time and the best years of your life and your mental and emotional health and access to your body and your family and kids. That ain't nothing spare about it. There ain't nothing spare about it. Healthy boundaries protect your capacity to love by preventing them from being misused, by preventing you from being abused. Setting limits preserves your empathy for people who deserve and reciprocate it. Jewel got the Bible verse. Thank you. Proverbs 3-5. Yup. And I forgot to mention for the inner circle members, I got the 30-day feminine energy reset in there too. That's a biblically based journey back home to yourself. But we'll talk about that right after we get off here. I'm about to wrap this up so we can get on to the Q&A over there with my Patreon members. But man, hear me and hear me well. The right person for you won't need you to sacrifice your peace to understand their pain. Healthy men work on their issues without making them your responsibility. You understand what I'm saying? Real love, it don't require you to damage yourself to heal somebody else. A man worth loving, he takes responsibility for his healing journey, with or without you. And especially in a relationship without expecting you to carry his emotional baggage. He don't use his trauma as a weapon against your boundaries or an excuse for poor treatment. He adds to your peace instead of requiring you to sacrifice it for his comfort. So, dear empathic woman, hear me and hear me well. You cannot date like everybody else. You can't go through the dating scene like everybody got the same heart as you, because they do not. You got to train your boundaries to be stronger than your empathy. You got to, sis. Or else your empathy is going to be the weapon that they use to destroy your standards, and you hand that to them willingly. You have to protect your kindness by sharing it with only those men who will not abuse it. Anybody else, they got to get the more protected, guarded version of you. And that guard has to be comprised of your boundaries. Not hatred, not brokenness, not unforgiveness. Just boundaries. But those are my thoughts. Y'all let me know what you think down in the comments. I'm your internet big bro. And if this did anything for you, if you got any truth from it, please find a little arrow down here and hit the share button. Again, I'm about to go live right after this because I don't do the live Q&A here. I only do this for my Patreon inner circle members. So if you want to get in, now is the time. And like I said, for the next 50 people to join my inner circle, I'm giving you access to all 15 of my books. All of them, for life, by the way. That's ebooks and audiobooks. Right now, and once I get to 50, it's done. The link is down here in the comments. I'll see those of you who are on my Patreon right after this. Y'all can ask any question that you got, and I'm answering all night. Holla at y'all later. Y'all be good. Peace.